Jen Phillipson, registered nutritionist, and today is Friday, where I am. If you're watching this later on, then it doesn't really matter what day it is, but it kind of feels like there's a bit of a Friday vibe going on, and it's feeling a little bit like the end of the week. Yay! Even though, every day kind of feels the same. So on Cook Together today, I'm going to make a super delish recipe. And I think the other day I realized, holy smokes, I really add vegetables with pretty much everything. And I think it's just because we don't get enough vegetables in a day. So when you're eating the normal foods that you like to eat in a day, then, well, just add some more veggies to it, because if you're not having them and you're not eating them in a salad or on a side or anything like that. So that's where today's recipe comes from. So this is found in my book, Sprout Right Family Food, which you can get at Amazon, Indigo. You can also order it from sproutright.com, but you don't have to, because when I post the recipe on YouTube, then you'll have the recipe there. But to make it easier for you to have these recipes and to collect them up, then when you go to sproutright.com/cooktogether, give us your email address, and then every day into your inbox, you'll have the recipe that I'm going to make that day. So today is going to be the super burgers, but these can also be meatballs, or they can be meatloaf. Depends on what you want to do with it, really. It doesn't matter, because let's say you're going to make a super simple pasta sauce, and then you want the protein to be, maybe you've got a vegetarian in the family, so in the pasta sauce I also suggest you put in tons of vegetables, because the taste and the flavor is just insane. And otherwise you can just add into the pasta that you're offering with some vegetarian sauce, and you can add in the meatballs. So that's a really great one to have on hand, and meatballs are fantastic when you freeze them and then pull them out. Hey Angus, how you doing? Nice to see you again. Today we're making burgers, my friend. Or you can turn them into meatballs or into meatloaf, whatever it is that you like. But the point of this is that you're just amping up how many vegetables are in your day, and we need that fiber. We need all the colors of antioxidants. I've got some going on in my bowl here, and the flavor that you get from anything when there's more vegetables in, I personally think that it's really, it just makes it taste so much better. But you're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have to make this recipe, and you're gonna have to find out for yourself how incredibly tasty it is. So I thought, because it's Friday and it's the end of the week, whether it doesn't feel like it, because I've got the Groundhog Day thing going on. So So let's make some burgers together. So for me, I have some ground chicken. Actually, I think it's turkey. Ground turkey here. When I make this, sometimes then I very often have grass-fed beef that I use. I like using grass-fed beef because it has vitamin K2 in it. And if you've heard me speaking of late about the importance of vitamin D for your immune system, especially to do with your respiratory system, then you'll also have heard me say how important vitamin K is to get the D into the parking spot, into what's called the receptor cell. So yes, take your vitamin D, please, please, please take your vitamin D, but also know that when you have K2 going in with it, then it gets into the parking spot where vitamin D does its work in our body. So please make sure vitamin D always has K2 with it. Now that's not normal for every single supplement. However, there are ones that you can find, and in mine, which I've got over here, my Sunshine D3 and K2, you might have heard me talk about that too. This is in a spray. Absorption happens in the mouth, and when we take this, we can take it in a higher dose. So I take 10 sprays of this a day, If even before, I've been well since all this has been happening, but before this, if I felt like I was coming down with something, then I would increase the amount of vitamin D that I would take. So I would normally do like about 5 sprays a day, and if I felt a little like, oh, I think there's maybe something coming, then I would increase and take 10 sprays a day, which is 10,000 IUs of vitamin D. But because the K2 is in there as well, I don't have to take another supplement, and I know that the vitamin D is getting into those parking spots, into the places, into the cells where they need to be, because this is so important for our respiratory health. So COVID, SARS, like this has been H1N1, this has been talked about in every single situation that we've been in to do with the virus that really sort of targets a little bit more of the respiratory system. So D3 and K2, that's why I would use, other than what I'm using today, which is some ground turkey, I would use grass-fed beef. Very long-winded way to explain why I use grass-fed beef, or why that's my focus. So into my meat, I've spread it out a little bit because just the center of it was still a bit frozen. I did have this in the freezer. And then I am going to actually grate a lot of the vegetables that I'm going to add in here. So in my recipe, then I'm suggesting about 2.5 cups of extra vegetables being added in, but I don't know, you can kind of eyeball it. I think I've only got 1 pound here in the recipe. It does suggest like 1.5 pounds. Now something like zucchini, which I added to the sneaky little muffins yesterday. Did you catch that one yet? Because that was, oh gosh, they're so good. I ate them for breakfast this morning. So with the zucchini, what I'd suggest, just so that your burgers don't end up being super watery, although I am gonna add in some, I don't actually even have breadcrumbs, so wait till you see what I've used instead of breadcrumbs. So I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna squeeze it. And I had a bowl yesterday, but I'm gonna have to do it over the sink. So just take out a little bit of the liquid so that it kind of looks like this. You just give it a little bit of a squeeze, and then in that goes. Why do I never have a towel when I need it for my hands? Hang on a second. There we go. Okay, so spit a little bit of zucchini. Also, I'm gonna add in some carrots. I think I was cleaning up even before I was starting. So I'm gonna do some carrot, because carrots going into your burger is great. Now this is a monster carrot. And so this is my last carrot. I've been mustering up the oomph to go shopping. I just think it's been such a busy week. Is everybody else having like a busy time? It just doesn't seem to. I'm not experiencing the slowing down so much. Maybe that's just because I just make myself do more. And today recorded a podcast. I was back in the closet and recording a podcast, a new episode on food waste. So really trying to help you not to have too much wasted food, and also because it really matters to our bottom line and everything that we're spending right now. So, what are you making? Angus, I guess you missed what I said. I'm making burgers. And he says, why are you grating carrots when you're making burgers? Because that's how I roll. Okay, so some carrots going in there. I'm gonna try and eyeball about 2 cups. I bet you any money I'm gonna go right over, but again, that's kind of how I roll. Now, beets. Have you heard me talk about beets before? Actually, you know what? I'm just going to tuck my hair behind my ear. My hand's a quick rinse because it keeps falling in my face. So if you've heard me talk about beets before, you know that they are one of the foods that I absolutely love. And if you don't love beets, and I'm not talking about going and getting beets, just the pickled kind, and then throwing them on your salad, just like maybe your grandma did, and you're like, oh, don't really like those. This is raw. Nothing's happened to this beet other than I scrubbed it. The anti-inflammatory properties of this is absolutely incredible. These are one of the ingredients that's in my Kid Boost, the superfood powder called Kid Boost, which is over there as well. I think it's still over there. Yeah, it is. And Kid Boost is a superfood powder, and there's beets in it. There's dried beet powder, so we can eat the real thing. Or if you're finding that this just hasn't been a good week for all the veggies, or hasn't been a good day for all the veggies, and you need more, then you can rely on the Kid Boost. So I'm gonna put a little bit of beet in there. And if you haven't done this and grated beet and put it onto a salad, just had it on the side, maybe with some carrot. Recipe for the beet and carrot slaw in my book, which is tremendous. There's a video on that. If you go back on YouTube, you can look for that. I made that with the maple salmon, actually. So I'm not sure that I put that in the title, which I need to adjust. So pour in some beets in here. So good for your liver. So good for antioxidants. So good for anti-inflammatory. So good for sore knees, sore hips, sore anything at all. And also because it really helps what's called nitric acid in your body, it's very, very good for men and libido and just general things like circulation, heart, circulation everywhere. So all really, really amazing for you to make sure that you get some beets. Next time you go shopping, buy some beets. You need all of that in there. I'm going to chop up this onion in a minute. Let's see if when I grate my onion, I can cut this up, but I'm going to try and do it really fast because every time I do anything with onion, I start crying. It's not because I'm sad about my onion, it's because it just gets to me. I remember when I used to wear contact lenses, I don't have any right now, then, oh my gosh, what a revelation. I could do anything with onions and I'd never cry. Did you know that? People that wear contact lenses, it's kind of like having on those onion goggles. Nothing gets past those things and makes you cry. They're the best. Anyway, I don't have any, so I might cry. Anyway, I'm going to grate this and put it in, because if you're not a dab hand at chopping and getting everything really, really small and super fine to put into your burger, especially into your burger, then you want to grate. So I just have a box grater, nothing fancy. This is my slightly more groovy one that has this little thing in it, and I did originally think I would do my onion in there, but it has the fine and the more coarse grater. That one I love because you can just go back and forth, but you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. I would even grate my garlic. I'll do that in a minute too, just to show you. A bit trickier not to lose your fingernails for that, but hey, you know, no one's having their fingernails done at the moment, so if that's your idea of a manicure, then sure, why the hell not? Okay, so quickly get that onion in there, get it out of my face, because I can feel it. I can feel it. All that onion juice, here we go. No tears just yet, but man, whew. Good old organic onions. I don't know if conventional onions are the same, but holy smokes, those do pack a punch. Okay, so as much garlic as you possibly can to get into these burgers. Again, not only because it tastes incredible, but because it's good for your immune system. How much can we support our immunity through food? Like, it's endless. The foods, everything that you've seen me make in this whole cook together, I don't know, I'll call it a series or a show or whatever you want to call it, has always been about the colorful foods, the antioxidants. Okay, maybe the cookies were not so antioxidant rich, but still a little bit. And what else did I make that maybe wasn't so much? I better not chop these because I'm starting to not be able to see. Okay, so garlic. I'm gonna grate it, because why not? If I don't take my fingers off too, there we go. So if you've got a garlic press, you can totally do that. I'm gonna chuck in the extra last bits. Here we go, start to cry. Oh, and I did actually remember to get my tissues just before I started, so that was handy. Oh, it's Friday. That was so sad. No, not at all. Yay for Friday. So how's everybody doing for the weekend? Are y'all ready for the weekend? Are you doing your like Friday night thing coming up, or what's happening? Anybody got any big plans? Really, what plans can we have? Go for a walk? Line up at the supermarket for an hour? Yeah, I'm not really crying about that at all, because I do have to go shopping. I've got my meal plan ready. Oh, I can't wait for you to hear the new podcast episode that's coming out on Monday, all about, I spoke to a chef. Oh, she's just brilliant. So helpful in everything that she was sharing, and we just had a super duper synergy going on. Okay, anybody know what this is? Maybe if you've ever eaten oysters with me, maybe you have. This is horseradish, fresh horseradish. I always have fresh horseradish in my fridge, of all things, because you never know when you're gonna get an oyster attack. And horseradish, like that you put with your beef, is just not the same. You can't put that on oysters. And I am a bit of an oyster fanatic. If I had to say what my favorite food was, it would probably be something like oysters. So I'm gonna put a little bit of fresh horseradish, and even if you don't like horseradish that comes like prepared horseradish, it's so good when it is raw, because it's not so hot. It doesn't like really blow your brains and give you like the sort of brain freeze slight version. So okay, how's this looking? This is looking quite colorful, and this is a burger. This is gonna be a meatball. Just tremendous. Okay, I think the onions are slightly wearing off. Look at that. Look how good that is. Okay, so remember I said that I didn't have any breadcrumbs? Well, what am I gonna use instead? Well, yesterday for the sneaky little muffins, I had to grind up my chia seeds. So I still had some chia seeds left over in my blender. So what did I do? I whizzed the rest of the chia seeds with some oats. So instead of breadcrumbs, wheat, if you're trying to avoid it maybe, or you're trying to be gluten-free, something like that, then this is what I ended up with. Perfect. It really is just because we need some sort of binder. Neither have a particularly strong taste or flavor to them, so you don't really want something that's completely overwhelming, or maybe you do. Maybe you want to use like a rye bread. Have you ever made your own breadcrumbs? You know how easy it is to make breadcrumbs? You just take your bread, take your old bread, and put it in the oven and pretty much kind of dry it out until it's like way past toast. And then put it in your blender, put it in your food processor, break it up a little bit, and presto, you have breadcrumbs. So if you've got those little ends of bread, I think it's because I really don't eat much bread. I always end up with like one bun left over because it's me and my girls. So when we have these burgers, we always end up with one bun if we're gonna have a bun. I don't always have a bun, but sometimes it's nice to do that. And so I always have these bits of bread left over in my freezer. So I'll just yank them out, and then I'll put them in the oven and dry them out. Same kind of thing with any bread like that's gone stale, or it's just not so good anymore. Nobody wants to toast it or make the overnight French toast or anything like that. So this is not your average burger looking, because the beets now have completely colored it. But again, hey, why not? Now, I don't have a barbecue. I have what I call an indoor barbecue, which is just a flat griddler. So I'm going to, oh, I forgot this onion. I'm going to cook these a little bit later, because I'm going to get my kids from their dads, and then we'll have a little bit of dinner together. And who doesn't love a little bit more green onion here, or spring onion, as I would call it when I lived in England, because why do we have so many different names of everything? It's just like that. But onions are so good for helping your liver to do what it needs to do every day. Your liver is like working all the time. Your liver is detoxifying any medication, any booze, if you're having a Friday night gin and tonic, or martini, or beer, or whatever it happens to be. Or you have found that, you know, your glass of wine is more of your lifesaver lately, and that's kind of your go-to, then your liver needs more support. So onions and garlic, really important. Okay, give that a stir. I really should not do the onions on a live, because I end up eyes tearing, super sniffy. Okay, so that's it. So I could, if I wanted to, just put this into something like these little ceramic guys and make like a mini meatloaf. That would totally be cool. I can just save them, and I'm going to do this. I'm gonna make some burgers. That's what we're gonna have for dinner. Or I can make some, just do this, put everything on some parchment, or I can make some meatballs, because once I've cooked, so this was frozen, so I'm not going to make these into any kind of shape. I'm just gonna work with chicken here, so I'm gonna pull my hair back because nobody wants a piece of hair in their burger. Wash hands after touching my hair. Good for not only bacteria, viruses, and all that kind of stuff, but just food safety is really important. So you can make these into any kind of shape of meatball that you want, and then the fastest way I find, you can put these into a frying pan and just cook them, but I actually find just doing something like throwing them on a baking tray on this parchment, putting them in the oven, and hey presto, that's really easy to do as well. This is quite wet. If you wanted to, I could add a little bit more oats, but because it is turkey, then it's going to be just a little different to your typical meat, your typical beef. Anyway, that's going to be maybe a little bit drier to the touch, even though it's fattier. So when you're making your burger, you can make like slider shapes. You can like slider size, not slider shapes. Promise I have not been into the gin and tonics just yet. So you can make really small ones. This is great for a toddler. This is great for a younger member of the family, or maybe you find that your toddler eats even more food than you do, so that's totally fine. But you can make whatever size that you want to. And then you just work your way through all of the meat mixed with vegetables. And I could have seasoned this with pretty much anything. I could have put in some mustard. I could have put in some mustard powder. I could have put in some Worcestershire sauce. Anything, really. This is like a blank slate. And even though in my book I just give you a recommendation of what veggies are going into this, there's not many people that are going to have pink burgers. If you were using beef, you would not see that color there. So I've got 3 burgers. That's for me and my girls for tonight, and then I'm gonna make some more because I'm gonna cook them, and then I'm gonna freeze these cooked, because let's say if I just need something really fast and I haven't quite meal planned for the evening, then this is perfect. I can take them and just break them up and add them to some sort of pasta sauce if I need a little bit of an addition to that. So honestly, it's endless what you can do with these guys. So what is your favorite thing? Angus, if you're still online, Angus, tell me what it is, my friend, that you like to put on top of your burgers. And anybody else have an interesting thing that you would put on top of these lovely looking pink burgers? So share with me below, because your inspiration is then going to get someone who is stuck and really not sure what to put on top of their burger tonight, or whenever they happen to be watching this. So always know that when you comment, even though you think, no, I'm not going to comment, I'm just going to sit and watch, you really help someone else out, because then that sparks something else. The other day when I posted the tuna melt that I made, I think that was like, what day was that? Tuesday? I don't know. I'm in a time warp. We all are. Then a friend posted and she said, perfect. Thank you so much for that suggestion. I'm going to go and make that for lunch. So you never know when you're going to inspire someone else. That's why I'm here, to try and inspire you too. So there we go. These are pretty big looking meatballs, but this could be just a standalone something with a little greens on the side, maybe the sweet potato fries. That would be fantastic to have on the side of some of these. And once you're done, once you get to the bottom, I'm just gonna cook them. Your internal temperature needs to be 74 degrees with any kind of ground meat. So that's really, really important to make sure that they're cooked. And then when you're reheating them, then you don't wanna kind of go too far. So these are, because they're a little bit more wet, then that's perfect for when I'm gonna reheat them as well. So they're not gonna be super dry, because that's never a really nice thing to have either. So yeah, I've got 2 burgers. I've got a whole bunch of meatballs going on there, and presto, we've got dinner. Well, you gotta cook it first, but then you've got dinner. So let me just wash my hands again. There we go. Whenever I'm doing something like this and I have to ask my girls to do something, I've got chicken fingers. I can't touch anything right now. So there we go. Okay, so that's good. All done. That'll go in the dishwasher. And hey presto. Let me see if I can move this back so you can see them all. Let me just move this off. Hey presto. That's a batch of about like 3 meals for us. So just incredible, so quick. How long does that take me? I don't even know. Probably about 15 minutes by the time I finished yakking and then jumped right in with it. So, so there you go. I hope that has inspired you to think about making something a little bit different. I'm just pulling my hair. Try and make something a little bit different for dinner, for the weekend, for a big batch. If you're gonna do something maybe on the weekend so that you're getting ready for next weekend, or sorry, for next week. Because if you've got kids at home, you're going in 5 different directions in terms of trying to work from home, and then your kids want you, and then yeah, it just is what it is right now. So making sure that you're getting prepared, maybe on the weekend if you've got a little bit more time, a little bit more brain space, if you get that weekend vibe going on, then you can try and make something like this and know that you can stick it all in the freezer. And because of, I've kind of put it in there, but I've also, in talking about food waste, this is the perfect place to put like a bit of zucchini that's not really looking so good, or a bit of a carrot that, is maybe a little bit floppy or whatever. I wouldn't put cucumber in this. But on the podcast, we were joking again about Chris's, my producer, his floppy zucchini that he found in the bottom of his crisper. Anyway, it's just a hoot. We have such good fun. So that's going to be out on Monday morning. You can go to iTunes, you can go to iHeartRadio, and you can subscribe so that you get that, because it's always a blast and it's just such fun. So thanks so much. Hello, Sherry. Thanks for being online as well, and everybody else. I see Sarah and Megan and Jeff. Hey guys, how you doing? So I hope this has given you some great ideas and some new inspiration. Remember your vitamin D with K2, so important that we're getting that in. So if you're gonna make some burgers and you can get access to grass-fed beef, then go for it. You've got some essential fatty acids in there as well. You don't necessarily have to feel quite so bad about, no, I'm not going to eat red meat. It's a bit more purposeful when you have that, not necessarily every single day, but, or you can try chicken if you want, or turkey, and make yourself some pink burgers and meatballs, because that's just going to have a whole other story when you get to the table. Have a beautiful weekend. I'm going to be off Saturday and Sunday. I do find that I need that time to regroup and kind of just get ready for the week myself. So I will be back on Monday, and I've already got all the flags in my book of all the new foods that I think that we're going to make. It's actually quite interesting because some of the recipes that I want to make won't translate well in a live situation. So I'm trying to find things that we can make and you can either see the end product of, or you get to see some sort of finished something. So the lasagna, I'd love to make the lasagna with you, but I might need to shoot that as a video and then post it, because there's so many steps to it. We'd have to be out here live for, I don't know, for quite a while by the time I got there, and that just wouldn't be so much fun. Well, it might be, but anyway, the point is that you learn how to make it if you haven't, and if you feel overwhelmed with it. So if there's anything you'd like me to make sometime next week, or you're stuck on snacks or whatever, then I'll make sure that we've got that, and I will get to Hadley's next video, making the rice crisp squares, because it's another one that's super funny. I've had such tremendous feedback from the blender pancakes, and then also the peanut butter protein muffins that she made with the literal chocolate chip drop everywhere in the middle. So if you haven't seen it, it is hilarious. It's just a great one to share with your friends and share with your kids, you know, to show them this is what happens when you get in the kitchen. All sorts of things fall apart, but it's still okay. You can just pick up and carry on. All right, have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you back here, same time, same place on Monday. Take care.